Hi there, and welcome to my shop tour. Well, this is the garage attic portion of the shop, so let me just turn it around and you can see more. I can also come up from this side. As you can see, lots of stuff up here. I mainly use it for storage. Got some random crap over there that might one day become projects. Got some random aluminum wheels, old bandsaw blades, remote control planes, you name it, I've got it up here. So that's what's up in my garage attic. Not a very fun place to be, but it does serve a really good purpose. So it gets a lot of stuff up here out of my way from being down there. Jacob at Native Sun Wood Art asked, how large of a space do you actually have and what would you change if you could? I have a 2-car garage, which is I think about 20 by 24 feet. I don't know what that is in metric. And then I also have a downstairs in the furnace room, which I'm going to show later. And it's a 30 inch by 6 foot long table that I can work on with shelves above it. What would I change if I could? I'd like to make this heated. That would be the biggest thing. If I could have a heated workspace in the winter, then it would just make life so much easier. In the winter shop setup, this is where I have my drill press. In the past, I've had it over back on that side of the shop. In the summer, I have it on the such side where the car goes. But, you know, it's just something, need to get it out of the way somehow, and this is where it fits. It's right next to my outfeed table, which I also doubles as an assembly table, which makes it so that anytime I have something assembling over here, I can't use the table saw. If I have a horizontal surface, it's going to be filled up with stuff that I need to move at any point to another horizontal surface until later I need to move it to another horizontal surface. That's pretty much how my life goes. One of the questions I got was from Jeff, and he's a weird guy on Instagram, so go check him out. He asked, what do I use for dust collection? And I have this Craftex 1 horsepower dust collector. And if you looked at the state of my shop on any given day, the actual answer is what do I use for dust collection, and that's gravity, because eventually all the dust goes to the floor. So here's a little bit of a better close-up picture of it. It's not a perfect setup. It does collect a bunch of dust, and that's what matters. I got this for use with my planer, my thickness planer, because it really just flew chips everywhere. And it works great with the thickness planer, but otherwise with the table saw, in this old Craftsman, with the motor hanging out the back, they just really aren't good for getting good dust collection on them. You know, same thing for my old Delta bandsaw. It doesn't have a dust collection port. Like I said, gravity. Gravity is what I use for dust collection. To go along with that dust collection question, Mark from Daner Design, he asked the question, are you an everything visible dude or put stuff in drawers for tidiness/dust issues? It's a good question, and if you can't figure it out yet, then I'll answer, I guess. I would love to be a everything has a drawer person. Everything has a closed door cabinet. You don't see anything nice and clean. But I also know that that's unreasonable for me. So in reality, I just put everything and it just gets all covered in dust. So this right here is an interesting part, I think, of my workspace. Now, obviously, I want to have it available so the car can drive in here at any point. So I wanted to put in a folding workbench, but every one of the folding workbenches I saw folded from the up. And I went, if it's up here, it's taking up space that I could otherwise use to hold tools and whatnot. So I made mine fold down, and as you can see, it's a pretty simple, got a couple hinges, 2x4s, and a piece of plywood. So James from Fix It Figured asked about cleaning out melted snow. Well, when it's wintertime, the snow doesn't melt. I get to deal with this white stuff all over my floor when the wife drives her car in. But in the spring, it turns to water, and then I have to use a broom to sweep it out because for some reason it likes to stay in my garage. Some of the more keen-eyed observers would have noticed that instead of pesky insulation that might keep me warm in the winter, I instead use wood in between my studs. I find it's really convenient to hold my scrap wood here. Gets it out of the way, off the floor. That way in the winter when there's a bunch of water on the floor, it's not getting covered. It's a great little spot. Now one day if I ever actually insulate this, I'm gonna have to find a new spot to store all my scrap wood. But until then, it's working out really good. So on top of having the wood between the studs, I also have these cheap wire racks that I have wood stacked up on. There's a couple of them throughout the garage. They're pretty basic, but they do the job well of holding the stuff that's 8 foot or longer, or stuff that is just too thick to go between the studs. Dean Duplantis asks, what do I do for music? And most of the time I'm wearing my Bluetooth headphones and listening to a podcast while I'm out here working. But every once in a while I've either ran out of podcasts or I'm just in the mood for some music, and that's when I throw on the radio. I just listened to this, tuner thing, and it goes out to these speakers back there. They're mounted in some OSB. It works pretty good, but maybe one day I'll actually build some real speakers and some speaker boxes. Kieran from Make Fail Repeat asks, where do I hide the snacks? Shh. Don't tell anyone. So this is a new addition to the shop. It's a sliding compound dual bevel miter saw. It's a Mastercraft brand, which is a Canadian company from Canadian Tire. It was a Christmas present that I got from my father. It's really nice. I replaced the blade already, haven't even used it once. And I'll show you my old miter saw was a really old Ryobi back before Ryobi switched to the ugliest color known to man, aka green yellow. It's one of the things that I've wanted to use or wanted to have for a long time was something that I could do much bigger cuts with. Because the old miter saw, basically, I could only do stuff that was 5 inches maximum. So this will really help when trying to cut down long boards. Pat Lapp asked me, where do I keep the Quebec flag? And it's a good question, Pat. I'm sure you know the real answer to this, but it's behind this interstate battery sign. But, you know, I don't actually pull it out because I don't want to offend anyone. But I can try offending someone right now with some French. Je peux parler français pour offendre les personnes qui est en train d'écouter cette vidéo. Parfait. Plus que parfait. Imparfait? Je ne sais pas. Now, my shop also doubles as storage, and in the winter, I have my snowblower in here, and in the summer, I park the bicycles here. It's not great. I really wish that I had somewhere else to store this kind of stuff, but, you know, that's just what you gotta work with sometimes. So this bad boy right here is a 1946 Delta Milwaukee 14-inch bandsaw. I really love it. It's worked really great for me. It's something I got off Kijiji, which is like the Canadian version of Craigslist. I put up a want ad for a vintage bandsaw because I was looking for so long and nothing ever came up. And eventually an older man contacted me because he was selling his, the contents of his shop, moving on to do different things. And he had this and he said, is that what you're looking for? And I went, you know, I'll take it. I have cash in hand. It's obviously been modified by the previous owners. I actually believe it used to be green. It's a wood and metal bandsaw, which is nice. If I ever decide to do some metal work, I can switch over the transmission and it goes at a much slower speed, which is really fun. One of my favorite pieces in the shop for sure. I got a couple of questions about my beard. The first one was from Mark from Daner Design, and he asked, when am I gonna grow the beard back to its former glory? And the answer to that is probably never. It was a year and, 9 months, 10 months, something like that. It took a long time to get it looking that good, and it actually ended up being more work than shaving it because I had to brush it every single day when I get out of the shower, or else it would just poof up like crazy. James from Bink's Wood Shop, he asked, did I clean up the beard hair yet? And he was obviously referencing the fun time I had doing a live stream and shaving my beard. And the answer to that is no. It's still on the ground, but I can't show it to you. For those of you who've been watching the channel for a while, you'll know that this is my grandfather's table saw. It's kind of the heart of my shop. It is something that I really enjoy using because it kind of has a family connection there. But at the same time, I also know that these aren't the best saws in the world. It could use a new fence, but I also know that it could also use better dust collection, and there's a million different ways to make this thing better, but I kind of like using it the way it is. Yeah, just has that strong connection that I like about it. Colt at BCF Leather asks, what was one ridiculously unnecessary thing that you want to have / build to go in your shop? Well, one of the most ridiculous and unnecessary things I can think of is a Jackman Works ginormous whatever it is. I don't care if it's a ginormous, hammer, knife, whatever. He makes really cool ginormous stuff. I would love to have a go at building a ginormous project, or a Jackman-sized project, if you will. Tony Langer asks, what would you have to say or do to get your wife to give you the entire garage for your shop full time? Well, I'd probably have to say or do something to build a shop somewhere else, because the real reason why the car is parked inside in the winter is because I hate snow blowing around cars. I'd much rather have the driveway completely clear. That way it's super easy to snow blow. So he also asks, what's my next major purchase? And I really don't know, honestly. When it comes to shop stuff, I pretty much have everything I need. When it comes to life, I pretty much have everything I need. I do know that eventually the little car behind us is going to die, and it's a 2000, so it's going on 21 years old. It's old enough to drink now, and it's starting to get into trouble. So maybe a car or truck will be the next major purchase. This is my belt and disc sander combo tool. I got it as a gift from my wife. I think it works great. I love the fact that it's got both. It's, if you look online, you'll see 1,000 different versions of this exact same thing. This one's Mastercraft, so Canadian based, but it does just like every other one. Belt, disc, what more can you ask for? Of course, I got to talk about the sticker wall. Got some cool people with cool stickers up there. That's kind of an Instagram thing, but thought I'd let you all know, if you want to be cool and get on my wall, sorry, there's no more room. I'm pretty sure I'm going to build another cabinet like this to go beside it one day, and then I'll have a bunch more doors to put on. But until then, you can send me stickers, and I'll just do and put them on the inside. Well, I'm not going to spend too much time down on this spot because I've recently done a video where I showed you how I revamped this area, and I'll link it in the description below. But I did want to show it off a little bit. It is something that in the winter, this is where I do the glue ups. I'm also going to be doing a lot more leather work here and maybe some wood carving in the future, so make sure to stay tuned for that. Well, this brings us to the last room in the video tour of my shop. And I consider this an extension of my shop because I spend so much time looking at a computer screen that is displaying a picture of my shop. This is where I do all the video editing. It's also where I record the voiceovers and the podcast I do with Morley, Kurt, and Adam Mackey called Clamp, the Creating, Living, and Making podcast. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed that tour. It was a lot of fun for me to show you the little bits of my life that you may not have got to see before. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments below. And until next time, cheers and have a great day.